Okay, here is the next PowerPoint lecture on culture. We're going to talk about the difference now between high culture and popular culture. High culture has nothing to do with marijuana, by the way. Little instructor joke there. High culture refer to cultural patterns that distinguish a society's elite, whereas popular culture refers to patterns that are widespread among a society's population. We'll start talking about high culture. We're talking about the rich and the famous, your actors, professional athletes, celebrities, individuals who can engage in activities including operas, art museums, five-star restaurants, black tie events. They're generally well educated, high wage earners, in most cases millionaires. They get to experience things that most of us down the ladder tend to not experience or get to experience as much. So we can see some images as I adjust my camera again. Make sure here. There we go, it's better. The art museums, opera theaters, five-star restaurants. Must be nice. Pop culture, on the other hand, is commercial culture that's based on popular taste. The clothes that you wear, the phones that you have in your hands, the movies that you see, the television shows that you watch, the apps that you download. Some you have to pay for, right? All of this stuff is targeted toward mainstream population. Lots of different examples of pop culture we could talk about through the decades. The 1970s included bell-bottom jeans. In the 80s, you had big hair, shoulder pads. Look at your parents' yearbooks and you'll see that. Sony PlayStations in the 90s, reality TV, all the way down the line. Some images of pop culture, travel, McDonald's, we all eat fast food, right? iPhones, shopping, sports. Now, ethnocentrism is something that we mentioned early on in the course. Ethnocentrism refers to our propensity to look at and evaluate different cultures through our own cultural lens. We tend to evaluate other places in the world and other cultures through our own lens. We look at people who, for example, people in Europe. When I traveled to Europe, specific parts of Europe, it was standard for people not to bathe or shower for 2 or 3 days at a time. I was not used to that. I like to shower twice a day at least. So it was very different for me. And I think we have a tendency to look at other people from different parts of the world and say, well, you're gross, you stink. Why would you do that? Why would you not bathe? We bathe here in America. But conversely, people in Europe would look at us and ask the question, well, why do you take 2 showers a day? That's wasting water. You don't need to be that clean. So we tend to evaluate others through our own cultural lens. Conversely, others view us through their cultural lens. So ethnocentrism is sort of a two-way street. Here's another example. In Maine, a refugee from Afghanistan was seen, you're reading that correctly, kissing the penis of his baby boy. Now, when you think about that and you process it, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, that's inappropriate, that's wrong, it's a crime. And it certainly is. But it was a traditional expression of love within his culture by his father. However, within this culture, that was seen as incredibly inappropriate, and his son was taken away from him. And you can read the other example that I have here below that. So it's tough in pluralistic societies where we have the influence of many cultures. We have to understand, not agree with, and don't get me wrong, but understand that there are different expressions of affection and love that we may see as inappropriate. Other places in the world may not see as inappropriate. So it's tough when you get into stuff, especially sexual stuff, not to judge other people and places through our own lens. Multiculturalism. This is a perspective recognizing the cultural diversity of the United States and promoting equal standing for all cultural traditions. We live in a multicultural society. In fact, Queens, New York is the most culturally diverse area in all of the United States. The New York City public school system, for example, has students from 189 different countries. Think about that. About 50% of the residents of Queens were born outside of the U.S., and there are over 200 languages alone spoken in Queens, New York, just in that area of New York. So that gives you an example very quickly of how multicultural and diverse our country is, and just this little specific area of Queens, New York is. You see some images of queens. And that is pretty much it for that part of the presentation. We'll call that the end of this one. Thank you.